Welcome to Operations Unfiltered, the podcast that takes you behind the scenes of influencer and talent management. I'm your host, Zuryna. Today is a super special episode. I have a repeat guest, one of my favorite influencers and content creators in the Baltimore area and the DMV. I'm joined by Simone Phillips, also known as Charm City Table. We talked about what's on the horizon for Charm City Table, a few unflattering social media encounters with some business owners, and she gave some tips and tricks for how you can succeed as a content creator or as a business owner who's interested in working with creators. So, without further ado, let's get into this week's episode of Operations Unfiltered. So, how have you been? I can't believe it's been how many months? The last time I talked to you on Operations Unfiltered was in August. So, I've been keeping up with all the things, but give me the rundown. What have you been up to? How have you been? It's been crazy.
Yeah, good. Things have been a little crazy. I don't know. Things are just right now, they're insanely busy because the summer's coming up. There's a lot of
Yes.
festival planning and all of that crazy stuff going on. But, it's been insane. I feel like I'm losing it right now, but it's okay. It's
I
been,
honestly feel the same as a Black woman in this country. That's
yes.
what I wanted to start off with. How are you doing mentally, emotionally, especially in the world of content creation where so much of your life is public and it's a lot. So how are you doing there mentally?
I feel like I try to be very intentional about the things that I share and the things that I don't. So I try to keep my private life is still very much private. I mean, if I was to reveal that, it'd be totally different. But the food stuff and the event stuff and just going around with my husband, who's mostly like my go-to person for going out. That part is going great. Like I said, it's just like managing it all lately, which is great because it means things are going well, successful. And like at the beginning of the year, I feel like end of the year, beginning of the year, I had some very intentional goals in
Hmm.
terms of really driving up the business side of
Yeah.
the table. So I feel like we're on the right track. I'm not, it's me being the goal oriented, sometimes perfectionist person these days. I was not always like that. Feels like I'm behind, but like when I take time and like look
Yes.
back and look at my to-do list, look at all the things that I've accomplished, look at my quarter one goals, like those are all on track. So
You know what? I love when you're using this project management language because I'm a corporate project manager. So when
yeah,
you say things like
I'm
we're
a
on
retired
track,
girl. So
yes,
that stuff
I'm
is
a
very much.
corporate girly. So when you say things like on track, like my heart flows because I love hearing creators talk like that.
Yeah,
And that's
You need a plan. I know we're gonna get into it, but I feel like that's half of it. Like taking your thing from a hobby and a Instagram, regular
to
Instagram account.
truly making it a business. And
You
that's why I
gotta,
have to commend you so much. And I wanted to
yeah,
kind of pick your brain about all the things because you mentioned event planning. And that's definitely something that I wanted to tap into because, like I said, I've been following all along on Instagram and I've seen your
yeah,
involvement with CIAA weekend and all the different restaurants in and around Baltimore, Downtown Partnership of Baltimore. I've seen you partner with them. So, what's on the horizon for Charm City Table? I heard you mention festival season is coming up. So, how are you and Charm City Table going to embed your expertise into that realm? Let us know.
yeah. I think it's just more of the same. I feel like except bigger and better.
We love it.
Bigger and better. Yes, yes. Yeah, I've been trying to do a lot of work with some of the local Baltimore organizations. And that's been an interesting path because I've been working with some of them for as long as I've had my platform, or maybe like a year or two in. And I'm
Yeah.
starting to like think about ways we can work together. Like I said, bigger and better, like think ways that we can work together differently that doesn't feel like copy paste or like the same thing that we've been doing in the past or the same thing even
Yeah.
other creators are doing. I feel like you have all these creative minds in the city. We should be creating and coming up with new and
Yeah.
exciting. So I'm rethinking a lot of the way those things are going. But as far as like event curation and
Mhm.
now is like I'm in a space where I know a lot of the business owners. I know a lot of the small businesses. I've worked alongside them or with them for something particular. So I'm like trying to use all of that just to make the city look great, to help these
Yes.
businesses look great, and to make sure everybody is paid fairly and
I
paid
love that.
well,
Listen, we're gonna get
and
into it.
including myself. So it's just all very, it feels like everybody's getting something out of the deal or out of the collaboration or whatever it might be. So I think, like I said, more of the same, bigger and better as far as the local organizations. Then I'm also extending outward to like national organizations and very
Yeah.
corporate organizations to,
I
because
was
there
gonna
are a
pick
lot of,
your brain about that too, because I know that your rise is really due to you focusing on Baltimore. Charm City Table is your
yeah,
Instagram name, but
yeah.
I wonder, do you ever sometimes feel stuck, or sometimes do you feel like maybe I shouldn't focus on this national brand because that's how I started Charm City Table? Or to that point, do you feel like, hey, I've done what I can do in Charm City? Not that I'm done, but I want to
Yeah,
branch out and focus out. What are your thoughts there?
I think it's a thing to figure out for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I it's been such a trip just kind of figuring out. So when I feel like when I first started, yeah, I wanted to stay very hyper local.
Yeah.
And then things got very busy. Like lots of businesses wanted me to come out and check out their restaurant and give
Mhm.
advice or talk about how to get more people in and whatever. So then I was like, okay, well, this has to make money. And, a lot of
Yeah.
these businesses don't have the livable wage money to be paying me and possibly other folks to come do this. So I was like, okay, let's start doing some brand partnerships. So I was doing those, but then I'm like, if I'm promoting so many local which I'm gonna say Dunkin'. I do love working with Dunkin'. I do still work with them, but I'm like,
Yeah.
how many Dunkin' ads do I want to be putting up?
Yeah.
Calendar year if I'm also promoting local coffee shops. So,
Right.
we still do things together, just not as frequently. So I was like, oh, sometimes doing these larger food partnerships might not necessarily work for what I'm trying to do. So then I
Mhm,
got
mhm.
really into for a while, especially after George Floyd and all that stuff. A lot of the remember all the now that they're kind of
Yeah,
rescinding them. A lot
yeah.
of the bigger organizations were like, okay, here's some money to promote Black-owned businesses. Some of
Mhm.
them were Latino-owned businesses, like minority-owned businesses. And so then I was doing a lot of that, and that worked out pretty well. But now that money is like, all right,
I
when
know they're
DEI's
restructuring things now, and I'm
DEI's
wondering,
no more.
it's no more, and how is that impacting you directly? You spoke a little bit to it, briefly,
Yeah.
but I wanted to know if you've noticed a drastic shift, and how is it
I
impacting
kept,
you?
things. I feel like maybe it's because I have to plan ahead, or
Yeah,
maybe it's just like the piece of my brain that's a little bit of a visionary. I kind of always I saw that drying up maybe like a year ago, like maybe even
yeah,
2 years ago. The deals weren't as frequent. Then you had to start doing the whole elevated thing, upscale, upscale, upscale. And I'm just like, well,
yep,
you know, people, I'm thinking about connecting these brands with people. It's kind of like a silent recession right now. Like people don't have as much disposable income. Upscale's nice, date night, whatever, but that's not always what people are trying to do. And I want
yeah.
to
People's
have
pockets are not
and
running
I want to have
like they used
diversity on
to.
my page. I never wanted it to be to lean to a certain genre or type of food
Yeah,
all the time. I want to show the range and the diversity. So yeah, I would say about a year or two, I kind of saw that drying up a little bit, and I get them here and there, and this still happens. But like now, I'm more comfortable. And like I said, I really want the focus to be small businesses, small restaurants. Like that's where my
mhm.
passion lies. I feel like if I get too far away from that, I will be like, this sucks. But
Yeah.
now I feel
And
like I'm
honestly,
more,
I have to commend you for that because you've done some great work. I saw what you did, the campaign with the vegan ice cream shop that you were
yeah,
part of that. I absolutely love that. I actually
yeah,
needed to go visit them, but that's why I love your page is because
yeah.
I feel like you're like a community connector, if you will.
Yes,
So that's
exactly.
what I
That's kind
love
of the
about
point.
it.
That's the whole point. But now I feel like I'm more comfortable with, I've had different meetings with different big corporations,
Yeah.
Pepsi, Amazon, these big companies. And I'm sort of thinking about the way that money can come into Baltimore, come into to help these small businesses, can help me pay myself and
Hmm.
all of those things. And there are lots of cool ways to make that happen. So I'm spending a lot of my time looking in that direction for kind of support and collaboration, where it's not necessarily a direct competitor to the
Yeah.
restaurants I'm trying to promote. But Verizon was one I worked with a couple times last year, Comcast, and working alongside those folks if they have some sort of initiative, whether it be something like a brand deal, whether it be like, oh, promoting the internet or, a grocery store or whatever. Like Xfinity, they had a partnership where it was like a grant thing where small restaurants and small businesses could apply for grants. So I did
Mhm.
a collaboration with them to make that happen, like to make sure people were aware that that was going on. So it's thinking about more things like that, that are
Yeah.
direct competitors, but are still big companies with a nice budget and able to, to
Sounds like
keep
you're
the
able to
platform running.
find the synergy between
Yeah,
you
you
do
gotta find the
well.
synergy. That's right. And then a
Exactly.
million other things. Like it's not just one thing. It's like we said, the event curation. It's doing those brand partnerships and
Mhm.
some of those behind the scenes collaborations and meetings. And sometimes it's event hosting.
Yeah.
Actually taking the lead and putting something on. So it's just a little
It's a
bit of a
lot. It's ever evolving. It's ever
yeah.
evolving. But the key piece that you're describing is that diversifying your income streams. And that's what I've always been harping to all of my creators, any small
Hmm.
business owners that I work with, is that the power of diversifying your income streams. And I'm wondering, how do you have the confidence to step out on faith? Because you started this as a content creator, sort of like a pseudo influencer, and
Yeah.
you're into all of these different things. So how do you have that internal confidence to push yourself even when it's a saturated market, or I'm sure you've gotten a ton of no's. Imposter syndrome is so real, especially as a
Yeah.
Black woman in this industry. So just how do you push past that? And
That's a great question.
yeah.
I almost want to say I don't know, but it's like it's really a journey. Like I keep saying, when I first started, I was what 2017, 2018 at this point. I was posting photos and I wasn't showing my face
Yeah.
and sharing strictly my favorite dishes. It just kept evolving, and
Mhm.
as I could again, looking ahead as I could kind of see things shifting. Like, for instance, when I started, it was Instagram, which was all photos, it was a
Yeah.
photo app. Then Instagram popped over to Reels to compete with TikTok, and Reels was a thing. So I'm like, I love my pictures. I worked so hard to
Yeah.
figure out photography and like shooting
Yeah.
with my iPhone. Like, I don't want to
Mhm.
have to do this. But then if you look back at those videos, they look absolutely insane compared to what people are putting out now. And
They're
even
like
now,
mini movies now.
I'm looking at ways to go just a little bit more cinematic
Mhm.
with my platform, but that's more like Q3, Q4. I have so much to focus on. I don't have time.
Yes.
But I feel like taking that step. And then when I had started and it started picking up, a lot more people started food blogging and
Yeah.
becoming a food influencer, reviewing restaurants, and like reviewers also were not a big thing when I first started. And then now reviews, the 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 people are just super popular these days. So it was
Yes.
like, okay, how am I competing with that? So people are
Mhm.
still listening to me. I don't want my platform to be 9 out of 10 because to me, logically, like I get what people mean, but to me, as someone who tastes a lot of food, that
Yeah.
doesn't always make sense because a 9 out of 10 is your personal
It's
enjoyability.
subjective.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah. I
your
might like it a little bit more salty than you.
right. And I'm
So
like,
how
well,
is
what
it?
is a 9.2? Like, where did the point
Right.
two come from? So it's fun. Don't hear this as me hating on it. I think it's so much fun. For me, I'm just like, where would I come up with that number?
Yeah.
That number wouldn't come out. It just wouldn't work for
I
me.
think of it as the equivalent of when someone says, "I need something that's affordable." Well, what's affordable
Yeah,
to
right.
you
What's
might not
affordable?
necessarily
I
be.
know. It's
Yeah.
like kind of like, yeah, doing recommendations. Like if somebody inboxes me and it's like, I want to do a birthday celebration. I'm like, well, you a hookah birthday person?
Right.
Or you know, just
Yes, that is a very different experience.
yeah, it
And to
is.
that point, I think that's another reason why I wanted to reach out to you, because a while ago I saw on Threads you had an not so flattering
Yeah,
experience
it
with
was
a
terrible. No,
restaurant that you.
it was pretty terrible.
Yes.
It's bad.
And so I would love if you could speak a little bit more to that, because you are such a community networker and connector, and it's off-putting sometimes to have those unpleasant experiences. So if you want to give us a
Well, I
preview.
think what we when we touched on a little bit the confidence factor, I feel it's just it's a journey. Nowadays, that stuff really it's like annoying and like come
Yeah.
on, like grow up. So the story is for those who are
Who don't know.
long story short, I was invited to a restaurant. And this is the thing again, you're working with small businesses, so not everybody understands entirely how it works,
Yeah.
especially when there are different types of food content, restaurant content creators. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's different genres, it's a, subgenres within
Yeah.
the whole restaurant. So not everybody understands how it works. And I totally get that. Now I wish they did their own research, but hey.
Yeah.
So I was invited to a restaurant. When I'm invited to a restaurant, usually the owners cover the cost of the meal. I come
Mm-hmm.
in, I taste a few menu items, I give my opinion. Usually, I want to give it in person, but as you'll hear, they were very receptive to that.
Mm-hmm.
Give my feedback in person, and then if the meal, the interaction is good, it's positive, then I'll create content around it. And I
Mm-hmm.
usually disclose when I'm invited in my caption so people know, okay, you know how to weigh it. It's like, well, if
Yeah.
she's invited versus if she went by herself, she might have a different
Exactly.
experience. So that's kind of how that works. So this restaurant invited me out. They offered to cover the cost of the meal. I come in with my mom, and it's just a very small hole in the wall type of restaurant. So our first dish comes
Mhm.
out, and it's not great. They're wings, and the chef and his wife kind of let me know these are award winning. They won awards.
Oh no.
They were so confident, and when I tasted them,
Oh
and
no.
when my mom tasted them, I'm not the only one. We thought they were very freezer burned, and I don't
Mhm.
know if how many people know how to fry chicken, but when you kind of fry it and don't thaw it out all the way,
You can
it's kind
taste
of
the whole freezer.
you
Yeah.
can taste the whole freezer, and then sometimes that bloodiness, like that marrow, whatever, kind of comes
Yeah.
up to the surface. So the wing is like very dark red and just
Disgusting.
gritty, and it just the bone is breaking off. And
Not a pleasant
yeah,
experience.
what just wasn't a pleasure texture experience. It did taste just like a freezer with
Oh
a
no.
sweet sticky sauce. So they asked, they came back over and was like, "Oh, how was it?" And we were like, "Oh, well, this is a little freezer." We tried to, and before
Be
we
nice
I even
about it.
got the word out, the words out, they were like, "Oh, well, these are warm and everybody else likes them," and it was kind of like that. So we were like, "Oh, well, we did like the sauce," trying to clean it up a little bit. Like, "Oh, we like the sauce," so we were like, okay, like this guy is like a little sensitive, and his wife had gone in the back, so we're like, maybe his wife is the one who, because that's the thing. I'll keep it brief, but like I always say, chefs especially are creatives. They're artists. This is their creation. They can be very sensitive, like most artists, most creatives, about
Yeah.
their stuff. So that's not the first time you're dealing with someone who's like a little bit overly sensitive, but at the same
Yeah.
time, I'm like, if you're overly sensitive, if you're particular, you also need to come with the heat. If your wings, you woke up this morning and your wings were
They
frozen,
better
go
slap. They
go
better
buy some
slap.
new wings. So you're like, oh crap, I forgot to thaw these out. Like, let me go to
Yeah.
Giant. Let me go.
Especially if you were invited and
You're
you the
invited. This is your
caliber.
time to create a great first impression. I won't know. This is my
Yeah.
first time. I will have no idea you wouldn't bought some last minute wings. Like, I
Right.
genuinely would not.
Yeah.
So we had a couple other dishes. They were all bad. The restaurant itself wasn't the cleanest. And again, it's a hole in the wall spot, so I'm trying
Mm.
not to judge too hard off of that. But just the overall experience was bad. Getting kind
Yeah.
of jumped back at, when I tried to give feedback,
Exactly.
having a not so great meal, every dish coming out and just being either low quality or kind of old. It just tasted like old food. So
Yeah.
when we
That's
left,
unfortunate.
yeah, when we left, I was like, oh, I can't put that up. Like, I can't tell people. If I had
To
old
go
food
there.
and I
Yeah.
wasn't putting their best foot forward, this was an
Yeah.
invitation that I just don't feel comfortable putting that up. So I sent them an email. It was constructive. It was professional. In
Yeah.
my opinion, I posted the screenshots on Threads if
You
anybody
definitely did,
wants to
and
go.
the corporate girly in me was like, "Oh, this is really nice." You
Yes,
actually
yes.
sent way longer messages than I would have, so
Yeah. I wanted
kudos
to
to
be
you.
kind. I wanted to be constructive because it is a sensitive topic. Like, you
Yeah.
served me old food. I caught that. I'm not posting the content.
Yeah.
And so they were very devastated. They just sent the nastiest messages. They were trying to talk about my looks and just
Yeah, it was not cute. If
they,
anyone I don't know
they
if it's
were
still on
very
Threads.
angry.
Yeah, if it's still on Threads, I invite anyone
It's
to go
still on
look.
there.
It was not cute. It was not.
Because after a couple of exchanges, I was like, gosh, this is just so rude. And I just did not want a narrative out there, because I don't know those people. That was my first time. Like, I've talked to them online over the
Yeah.
years a couple of times, but that was my first in-person interaction with them. So I'm like, I don't know what they're gonna go off and run, what tail they're gonna run with, but we're gonna have
Yeah.
evidence somewhere on the internet that I tried.
No, I commend you completely because that whole interaction was too much. My chest was hurting.
They
So,
were, yes, it was
yeah.
rude. It was a little disrespectful. And, honestly, I hate to say it, but that's not the first time something like
Oh
that.
my, and that's why I was like, you have to give us the tea. And how you dealt with it was so professional because
Yeah.
I could not imagine.
Yeah, I think,
And that's
yes,
crazy.
usually it happens like that. Like, at this point, I'm like, well, it is what it is. Like, people
Yeah.
know my platform, and people, it's so weird because, again, Instagram and the whole landscape of social media changing. Sometimes people think all positive or leaning positive can mean you're being phony or you're lying.
Yeah.
But, there's so much behind the scenes stuff that's going on, like having to tell someone you didn't enjoy the experience.
Yeah.
And so I also felt like sharing that helps people who might follow it understand how it kind of works behind the scenes. Like,
It absolutely
I
does
don't post
because
everything that goes.
yes, and you really could have. And I'm wondering if the restaurant was, receptive of the fact that if you posted that negative experience, that could have yielded poor results for
Yes, I could have
them.
yielded poor results, bashing, and I don't like. Also, don't the internet is such a wacky place too. I don't want to create a space for that, like where
Exactly.
people just get
Exactly.
on and let their steam, let that off in the review section of Google and Yelp. Not
Yeah.
here. Like, if you have something constructive, say you didn't enjoy it, and this is why. Fine, but the attitude and the rage, like, that's not what the page is
Unwarranted.
for.
I guess from that experience, what advice would you give to future restaurant owners who may have encountered a review that wasn't the best? What would you say to them?
Like, if somebody posts a negative review, I would just, with it being so popular, I
Yeah.
feel like everybody's gonna have their own opinions. Honestly, I would treat reviewers who just might go to a place and post just like any other feedback or review. If you're
Mhm.
Don't react off of one negative review. If you're hearing themes, like, okay,
Yeah.
this is maybe something you want to take back and have a meeting about and go back to the drawing board about. But if it's some one off, I would just ignore it, or thanks for coming, or if it's something egregious, maybe message them on the side to see how you can, treat it like a regular customer review. It's not that serious.
Moral of the story, let's have some decorum. I feel
Yeah.
like that's a lesson that we need to
Yeah,
have.
professionalism always wins, especially that's what professionalism is for. It's for when you don't
Absolutely.
know people like that and you keep a certain level of, like, decorum, so nobody
Exactly.
is freaking out or doing what those people that we
Yes.
just talked about did.
The nosy person in me wants to know, have they reached out to you since then?
No, they haven't. No, the last message they sent when they were like going off, it was like the last exchange. I did block them on Instagram because I was just like,
Protect
they
your
were
peace.
like still looking at stories, and I'm like, why are you still following along? This is so strange. Get out of here.
People are
So
weird.
yeah,
That is
yeah,
definitely a troll.
yeah. I'm like, why?
Oh my goodness. Well, another topic that I wanted to pick your brain about was the different food scenes. I noticed a couple of your videos, you'll say Baltimore City and beyond, which I love. I love when you expand.
Yes. Hmm.
So the debate that I've been seeing a lot, and I'm interested to see what your thoughts are, is the debate in the food scene between Baltimore City food scene, the DC
Hmm.
food scene, even Northern Virginia. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna ask a question. Who has the best food? You're gonna say Baltimore City, but who has
Yeah. So,
the
like,
best food?
I'm way too biased to be, but seriously, I do think it's Baltimore, and I will tell you all exactly why. It's because I feel like, of course, every food scene has their strengths and weaknesses. Like, I do
Yep.
think there are points where DC, especially, is a little bit stronger than Baltimore in certain areas, like volume. When it comes to volume, like fine dining, for instance, there's a lot
Oh,
more. You
absolutely.
want to do fine dining, if you want to go upscale, you go to DC, and there's like 1,000 options versus Baltimore. There might be
Yeah.
like 30
Exactly.
options. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? So, but I do feel like Baltimore is the better one just because of the range. When it
Mhm.
comes to types of food, when it comes
Mhm.
to price point,
Yeah.
affordability. When it just comes to having a nice, even sometimes the more upscale, elevated, in a casual, like, comfortable environment, nobody's trying to make you feel super duper uncomfortable, even when it comes to like dress codes and things like that. I feel like we have a little bit more, I don't
Down home
know,
feel.
yes, we have a little bit more of a down home feel, and we still execute very well. So Baltimore
Mhm.
now is really coming up when it comes to getting the James Beard nominations and features in New York Times and Washington Post. We have a ton of award winning restaurants at this point, and they really hold up to DC when I used to travel a lot from my previous job before I went full time.
Mhm.
Um, I did a lot of San Francisco, did a lot of Boston,
Yeah.
and I always, and I had to take clients out to dinner. That was the whole thing. So
Yeah.
I really did feel like, the flavor was there, the execution was there, the quality is there in Baltimore's food scene. And it's just easier to find when you think about popping in and grabbing a bite to eat. I feel like 9 times out of 10, you're going to have a
Where to
positive
find somewhere.
experience. Yeah.
Yeah.
Versus some of the other scenes where you have to kind of know where to go. Like, I feel like you don't need to know where to go in Baltimore to have a good meal.
Yeah,
You can just
that's
pop
so
into a place
true.
and it
Very
be
true.
delicious. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, and I think the thing that you mentioned is that community feel. We're called
Mm-hmm.
Travel City for a reason. It's, that's the thing that I
Yeah.
think gravitate. And I'm from Houston, so of course
Mm-hmm.
that's like big city, food city, but it's
Yeah.
way different, a different vibe than Baltimore. So I totally get what you're saying there.
Yeah.
And that's why I love it so much. I absolutely love it. So now the fun part. You've been visiting some fun restaurants lately. I've been keeping track, but a lot of my listeners want to know their work from home girlies, their
Mm-hmm.
mompreneurs. What are some good coffee shops in Baltimore City and maybe even Baltimore County, your top two that you would recommend?
Oh man. Well,
I'll put you on the spot. Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
know. Cause I'm like, there are coffee shops that are great and have great coffee, but maybe not great hours. I feel like if you're working, you definitely want a place that is 9 to 5, especially.
Yes.
So I've personally, let me check their hours before I start howling out things. I personally have really been enjoying Llama's Corner lately. It's in the
Okay.
Bolton Hill neighborhood.
Oh,
And
that's my favorite area, one of my favorite little areas.
yeah, they're oh
Yes.
yeah, their shop actually they're open until from 7:30 a.m. to 8 p.m., which is
Oh, good
great. And that's
hour.
Monday through Friday. And it's just a cute coffee shop. When I first went, when they first opened a couple of years ago, maybe it was a year or two ago. Um, their coffee was fine. Like it was all right. I didn't care for it. I'm a bit of a coffee snob. But lately, like I've
Yeah,
been probably 5 times in the last month or two, and their coffee is delicious. They have a
I
wonderful
love
barista
that.
now, does beautiful latte art so you can sip a pretty drink and
Are
have
you a matcha girly now? Do you do matchas? Do
I
they
do.
serve
I love matcha. I love tea. I love coffee, but I think I'm more
coffee?
of a cappuccino drinker. I'm an espresso person, so I will do lattes,
Yeah,
but I like the cappuccino balance. I like a stronger coffee. Yeah.
I love that. I
Person.
would definitely take that recommend. Look, I'm writing it down now. I'm gonna take that
Yes,
recommendation for
Llama's
myself.
Corner is very good. It's in Bolton Hill on McMecken Street, and then who else is a good? Oh, Addie's Coffee Roasters down in Fells Point. They have
Yeah.
good hours as well, and it's a larger space. So I feel like it does. I feel like that's a popular work from home spot, so it may get a little crowded, but they have great hours, good coffee, great Wi-Fi. So it's
Yes,
nice
which
to,
we love. Good, we love good
yes,
Wi-Fi.
nice to
I,
stay connected.
yeah, exactly. So
Mhm.
thank you for those suggestions. The other thing that I wanted to tap into is my girl. I'm in my reading era. I'm in my
Uh-huh.
era. I got my master's a long time ago, and I swore off reading because I was just
I'm
over it.
tired. Where you get your
Yes.
master's?
I got my master's in communication, so
Oh, awesome.
I'm the talking girl of Stevenson
Yeah.
University. Go Mustangs! But what is a book that you've read or that you're currently reading? It could be an audiobook. It could be an
Yeah,
article.
I just finished up. I did undergrad in sociology and a minor in religious studies, and those are
Oh,
where
you're in
my
a way different career
I
field.
know, I know. Sociology actually very much applies to this job.
That's true. That's true.
So I feel like I would have probably crashed and burned without my sociology. I'm not even exaggerating because I just understand how human behavior and social systems and how things work. I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, this is what this is. So like,
Oh, you're right. You
how it
got
works.
the forest through the trees to sort of
I'm
long
telling
way of
you,
getting
it
there.
works. And like when I see people who are like alongside me that are like no longer here, I'm like, oh, they let that
Yeah.
stuff, kind of psych them out. So
Yeah.
I am very much that's kind of what I read. It's boring. stuff. Not necessarily boring. It's not boring to me.
It's fine. I'm a case study girl. I
Okay,
read
I'm
case
just
studies.
like, I read journals, like academic
Yeah, me
journals in
too.
my spare time, so it's terrible. But Ta-Nehisi Coates' The Message is the last book that I read, and it's about his travels and just kind of unpacking social systems and things like that through his lens. And he goes to Israel and Gaza and all of that stuff and kind of documents his journey. And he goes to the South, the American South, and talks about and kind of compares and contrasts those experiences.
Oh, I'm gonna have to add that to my list.
Yeah, The Message is,
Immediately.
yeah,
Okay.
it's really good. I
Yeah.
get into stuff
Are you
like
a podcast girl too? Do you switch between reading and podcast or one or the other?
I used to be such a podcast girly when I
Yeah.
did work corporate, but I don't listen to them as often. But lately I've been listening to Kiki Palmer's podcast on
Oh yes.
YouTube.
I'm
And
tapped in. I'm tapped
yes,
in.
hers is fun. I feel like she's such a great interviewer. I'm like, she asked the
She
question.
is. She's like our homegirl.
Yes, she asked the questions that we're all thinking. I'm like, oh, that's
Yes.
exactly what. And she's very intuitive. She can kind of read people really well. I love just the art of her, how she does her podcast. And then I've been listening to Grits and Eggs podcast, which is one I found on TikTok.
Grits and eggs.
Yeah,
Okay, we're going to add that to the
it's these two
list.
guys, and they're hilarious. They're very much kind of like, if you dig, like at first you would just be like, oh, this is just laughs. But if you dig a little bit deeper, they do talk a lot about the Black experience from like their perspective. But it's hilarious. It's funny. But
Well, the
then it
name got
also
me.
kind of gets a little revolutionary. Like, wait a minute, okay, they're preaching. You know what I mean? So like, it's like
Oh, I
a
like
really,
that.
yeah, it's a really good blend of that. Like, I feel like I usually listen to it in the morning because it wakes me up and it's so funny. Like, they are hilarious to me.
Oh, I love that. You gave a ratchet and righteous
Yeah,
like dichotomy. I love that.
that's me in a nutshell.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Your online persona actually really matches. Like you're like a nice, warm person, and I'm sure your other Instagram cousins and Instagram friends, they probably want to meet you, touch the hem of your
Yeah.
mouth, learn. So, do you have any events coming up where people can get, meet, learn from you?
Right
You have
now, all of
coming up?
my stuff is very much behind the scenes. I'm like up to my ears in like event curation and collecting all of these small businesses and restaurants together for various events around the city. So I would say no, but there will
She's
be
like, I'm at
opportunities.
capacity.
There will be opportunities in the summer. I feel like hopefully we could do the movie nights again. So we're talking about that, and
And that's at the Baltimore Peninsula, right?
that's a Baltimore Peninsula. And then I've done some of it this year, teaching people like the basics of becoming an influencer, like a 101. So we either meet like coffee shop or we do online, like a Zoom meeting. And then I just kind of go over the basics on specifically how to monetize. Because I feel like when I first went full time, I was studying and seeing what other people, like big influencers and micro influencers, everybody in between, I was seeing what they were doing. And the biggest thing that I noticed, everybody had a business, whether it was a product line, whether it was a service line. Some people a lot of them had multiple businesses. And these are some of the people who are going to the Oscars, making these huge brand deals. And I'm like, they still have businesses so they can get steady income. So we talk about finding a vision for your platform and leaning into coming up with like a business model to have like consistent income.
I love that. Now, are these publicly advertised?
Like, yeah, put them on Eventbrite. Yeah.
Come on now, somebody go follow her on Instagram and sign up.
Yes. So those I try to do those once a quarter. So I haven't planned this upcoming one, but yeah, once that goes live, that'll be an opportunity. So I don't have a date for that yet, but we'll see.
Okay, we'll stay tuned. Now, you mentioned some other events. Can you announce them publicly, or should we just stay tuned for?
You should definitely stay tuned for some of them. I'm like, let me see, what can I talk about? I mean, come to all of the Baltimore events. Anyway, Artscape is coming up. I'm doing.
And the opening of the farmers market. Now, with that changing leadership, how do you think that's going to impact, or do you think it's going to?
I have no idea. I'm actually a little nervous about it, but it'll, as long as I feel like when the great thing, or I won't even say great, but the interesting thing about working alongside of a lot of these organizations is you can kind of see the underbelly of it, and 9 times out of 10 is not that pretty, and as far as it can be chaotic and people are jumping in and jumping out, and but as long as it comes out to the consumer, to the everyday people as a well-organized, thoughtful event. To me,
Yeah,
that's all that
intentional event
matters.
as well.
Yeah,
Intentional
like,
matters. I feel like if they're listening, they should really try to work with you because I feel
yeah,
like you are definitely a community connector, like I keep
yeah.
saying.
And
So
yeah, we
whoever's
do. We work.
listening,
I
you know,
feel like I
hire
work well with
Simone.
these organizations. We work so well together, but it's just when you're dealing with humans. You know, some people have the vision,
Exactly.
they want it one way, and then this person wants another way. And it's like, wait, what is my role? What is their role? So it just kind of, there's just a lot of pushing and
The
pulling.
waters get muddy.
The
That's the
waters
corporate term.
definitely get muddy, but then usually it comes out a clean, nice, beautiful product. I feel like that,
Yes,
honestly, that's how
because
my
I
platform
go.
runs too. With dealing with all the restaurants, like the horror
Yeah.
story we kind of just shared, like, you know, a lot of the, like, lots of moving parts happen, and then a video comes out, and
And
it's
it's all
like,
pretty.
great, yeah.
You're like, the video does not look like what I went through.
Right, exactly.
Oh my gosh. Well, this is so I love talking with you because like I said, you truly give a new energy, a calming energy, and so talking to you is just the same. So I
I'm glad that
really
comes
appreciate
across.
you. It does, it does. And the fun fact, I think we live in the same area because I feel like I've seen you a couple of times out and about, but I'm shy in person. I'm like, I'm not gonna
Oh
bother
my gosh,
people.
please say hi. And yes,
I
I do.
definitely
I
will.
have seen you out a couple of times,
I've
but
seen a couple of influencers and I'm like, oh, I don't want to say anything,
oh
but
my gosh, yes. The one thing about most influencers is they love lots of attention. So you should,
I,
if you scream out the window, I'm sure they love it.
I'll know for next time. I'll know for next time.
Yeah.
But how can everybody stay connected with you? What's your Instagram, TikTok, website if you have it? Let us know all the details.
Yes, yeah. Follow me everywhere. Charm City Table is mostly run Instagram, but then I'm also on TikTok. I'm on YouTube Shorts, charmcitytable.com. Yeah, those are all the places you can follow me. My name's Simone. So if you see Charm City Table and then Simone Phillips, because there are a lot of Charm Cities.
There
Right?
are Charm City Foodie, Charm City
Yeah, Charm City
Beauty.
this, Charm City that. So if you see Charm City Table, you see Simone Phillips, Simone, that's me. So yeah, we're
Yes.
talking all about restaurants, fun events,
Event curator,
connecting
master
people.
networker.
Yes.
Yes.
Don't call me a master networker. I know it's part of the job, but I'm like, I need to
That
get.
is a heavy title. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. It was a great conversation, and I absolutely will be having Simone back. But anyway, if you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, share with your network of friends. And as always, stay tuned for the next episode. I'll see you then.